Politicians are spending too much money, driving America deeper into debt every day, and the situation is even worse than you think. I'm Kelly McDonough, a student at American University, and I'm narrating this Economics 101 video for the Center for Freedom and Prosperity to help spread the word about America's looming fiscal crisis. Let's start with the official numbers. Over the next 10 years, according to the Congressional Budget Office's analysis of the Obama budget, government spending is going to jump from $3.6 trillion to $5.7 trillion. Deficits are going to average about $1 trillion per year, and the national debt, technically the debt held by the public, will climb from about $9 trillion to $20 trillion. To put it mildly, we're in deep you-know-what. To be sure, our incomes are supposed to climb over the next 10 years, so that will help. But incomes won't rise as rapidly as the burden of government. So the national debt, which is equal to about 60% of GDP today, will rise to 90% of GDP by 2020. To give you an idea of why that might be a problem, we would have a debt burden in 2020 that is disturbingly close to what Greece has today. And that nation's economy is in tatters, and its government is close to default. Do we really want to follow the same path? Let's dig deeper into the numbers. If you follow fiscal issues closely, you may know that there's something called the gross federal debt, which is even larger than the publicly held debt. The difference between the two is that the publicly held debt is a measure of how much money the government has borrowed from private credit markets to finance deficit spending. The gross federal debt includes this publicly held debt and also includes money that the Treasury Department has borrowed from other government accounts, such as the Social Security Trust Fund. If you look at the current numbers in the graph on the screen, you can see that the gross federal debt is about $5 trillion larger than the publicly held debt. You may also have heard about something called unfunded liabilities, which is a measure of how politicians have promised to pay all sorts of future benefits, way in excess of the amount of money that is available. So perhaps you may be thinking the extra $5 trillion in the gross federal debt could be the unfunded liability of programs such as Social Security and Medicare. Unfortunately, not even close. The actual unfunded liabilities of the federal government are enormous, and they're getting bigger every year. There are all sorts of measures for unfunded liabilities which depend on various assumptions. So rather than pick the numbers we think are most accurate, we're simply putting all of the numbers on the screen for you to ponder. These breathtakingly huge numbers represent future deficits for government programs. Some of the numbers are adjusted for inflation so we can understand how big those future shortfalls are in today's dollars. Other numbers are present value estimates of unfunded liabilities. This bit of jargon may sound confusing, but present value numbers are simply estimates of how much money we would need to invest today if we wanted to finance promised benefits. The one thing that stands out, of course, is that all of these numbers are much, much bigger than the national debt. In other words, we're in a bunch of trouble. Let's conclude with a very important observation. America's debt is severe, but it's important to remember that it is only a symptom of the real problem, which is a federal government that is too big now and projected to get even bigger in the future. Entitlement programs such as Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid are the big culprits, and Bush made the situation worse with a new prescription drug entitlement, and Obama dug us deeper in a hole with a new entitlement for government-run health care. Some politicians think higher taxes are a solution, but giving more of our money to Washington would be like giving the keys to a liquor store to a bunch of alcoholics. Too much spending is causing too much deficits and debt, and restraining the growth of government is the only way to solve the problem. I'm Kelly McDonough. Thanks for watching this Economics 101 video for the Center for Freedom and Prosperity.